Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com with another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. The show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You're welcome. Now, before we start this show, yes, I'm back from my holiday. I was down seeing family, so that was lovely. But thank you very much for being so nice to Phil. Big shout out to him as well. He covered my ass pretty well, like a pair of chaps with the bums intact. Or trousers, as they're also known. Anyway, there is a ton of content to get through, so let's hit that intro. Right, so let's begin with some good news this week and talk about the ongoing lawsuit between Chris Amman, the WWE doctor, and CM Punk / Colt Cabana, which this week came to a final conclusion in the favor of the indie superstars. Hooray! This is not only a huge you to the WWE from a legal standpoint, but it actually provided some of the most hilarious moments I've seen in ages. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, have you ever read a law room transcript? They are the funniest things out of context because basically all they do is they detail everything that's happened in the most short form way possible. And I had a good old laugh at this. So I'm going to read out some of my favorite moments from this trial for you today. Okay, so here we go. Punk positively identifies the Speedo as his Speedo. Punk mentions that it's the only Speedo he's ever worn in the WWE and calls the fact a little piece of WWE trivia. Colt confirms that both an egg and a golf ball are smaller than a baseball. These are things that are actually said and happened in a court of law. Brilliant. At this point, an entire class of 8th graders enters the courtroom. Why? This one sounds like me and Scott Telford's relationship here on the gaming channel. If anyone's gonna see my butt that isn't my wife, it's Scott. Punk confirms taking no photos of his butt. But the best bit is, the icing on the absolute suplex cake, is that we finally get to know what the CM stands for in CM Punk. Not even Vince McMahon apparently knew what this was. It stands for Chick Magnet Punk. I swear I'm not making it up. Absolutely brilliant. It actually calls into question whether or not this whole lawsuit was done just specifically so Vince McMahon could figure out what the name was. Now, normally I'd be busting out the giraffe head for moments like this because, I mean, they are absolutely ridiculous. But on a serious note, I just want to congratulate CM Punk and Colt Cabana for their victory over the WWE. It is a huge thing for them. And you know what? Best of luck in the octagon later on, buddy. I say that like he watches this show, he doesn't. So this week, in an interview with Natalia on her Calgary Sun blog post, Titus ONeil had this to say. I've always had goals to be as successful as possible in multiple areas of my life. I feel like I have everything it takes to be a champion in the WWE. Champion, is it? Well, let's go through the checklist, shall we? 1. Young Nicholas got a bigger reaction than your career ever has. 2. You can't cut a promo having the same verbal dexterity as a medicated sloth. 3. You will forever be remembered as a botch that even Zach Gowen would laugh at. And 4. Are you having a f***ing giraffe? Titus, I love you, mate. I seriously do. I wish I could kiss my son you in the same way that you kiss yours, but he won't let me anymore. You're a nice guy, but you're not WWE Championship material, as it stands. In fact, the only way that you're going to get over is when you trip again. So you know what, Titus ONeil and your WWE Championship desires, are you having a giraffe? Are you having a giraffe? Plot holes. The WWE is rife with them, and there seems to be no greater example of this than in Kurt Angle, who routinely runs down to the ring in order to make matches on the fly that just screams of a manager that's going, oh, thank God you guys were having a scrap because I had nothing here. It was just going to be dead air. I mean, it's like he makes us think that the entire show just isn't planned at all, which is not what you want a general manager to be doing. However, this seems to be extending to his actual role as general manager, because Stephanie McMahon could easily just fire him. She has the power to do that, but for some reason she likes keeping him about to just apparently make things up as they go and bring her own product down. It's not really clear why she's doing that, but she decided to take the reins and keep an eye on the Olympic hero by hiring Baron Corbin to be her Constable of Raw. Okay. Now, I found this to be an absolutely bizarre way of trying to keep tabs on your staff, because not only is Baron Corbin the least likely person that I think would work with authority, being the lone wolf, but also he can't go 5 minutes without eating a 3-pin, so he's not exactly formidable at the moment. I mean, it's better than him beating up No Way Jose every week, so I guess he's got that going for him. And I suppose actually it does do a big favour for every YouTuber around the world, myself included, in that we can now just elongate his title just a little bit to poke fun at him. Stubble. Yeah, it's got a good ring to it, that actually. Thanks, Steph. I drink it in. And now welcome to the Philosophical Corner.
New York's Madison Square Garden has been booked for a wrestling event later this year, but not by WWE. So, by whom or who?
Deep stuff, as always, Phil. Thank you very much for that. I've got a lot to think about. Also, it's whom. And the answer is Cody Rhodes! Yes, that's right. The WWE's spiritual home of Madison Square Garden has been booked by none other than Cody, my God, I would, Rhodes. Dave Meltzer actually reported on this a little bit earlier on the Wrestling Observer message board by saying that a third party had basically booked the event and it wasn't the WWE, which set tongues a-wagging. Then we got a confirmation at a recent Ring of Honor taping where Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks came out and then basically just said, hey, what about All In 2? 3 blocks down from the Hammersmith. And everyone went absolutely ape. I mean, of course, something like this was going to happen. I mean, All Out sold out in just 10 minutes, and after one match had been announced, so it's clear that there's a market for it and that a sequel was going to happen. But to put it on at Madison Square Garden, a place that the bill makes even the WWE go a bit, ooh, that's a bit stinky. I mean, you've got to admire the clackers on this lad. But the best thing is that this isn't just a middle finger to Vince. This is something that would boil his blood not seen in such a way since the 2005 Royal Rumble. Good on you, Cody. Keep going. And even if you aren't the one that's booked it, because again, it could all just be speculation and just trying to antagonize the fans, somebody out there is planning something very big. And now we end on some absolute comedy. I was going to use this segment to talk about New Japan's Takahashi, who took one of the most insane bumps that made me feel quite sick over the last week. But instead, I have to talk about the WWE one more time because for some weird reason, they think that they're good enough to win an Emmy. Yeah, so this week on Wednesday, the WWE hosted a For Your Consideration event, which is basically to try and get the Emmy award givers to look at products and basically decide who they want to give it to. And I didn't really explain that very well, but you kind of got the gist from that. And they submitted 3 segments. They submitted the Mixed Match Tag Team Challenge, which was bloody brilliant. They submitted 24 Empowered, which is probably the worst in that series. And then they submitted Raw 25. They think that Raw 25 is Emmy award-winning television. I mean, not only does it put a nail into a coffin that is so riddled with nails it is now just one big nail in the form of kayfabe, because they are basically just saying that this is definitely a show and should be seen as such. But seriously, we thought that in the office, we polled everyone and just thought that maybe the WWE were just putting out these terrible storylines because they were lazy. It turns out, insane as it is, that they think that they're putting on TV gold. The match quality is great, but the story writing's shit. And it was hammered home when Roman Reigns had this to say at the event. We've been able to conquer social media's platform of positivity. Have you And there we go, those were the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now to close out the show the only way I know how, by reading my favourite comment from last week's episode. And this comes from a person whose name I cannot pronounce. FRNA79_EST capital N OTOC. ATOC even. Not that it makes any sense anyway. FRNA79_SnackTalk. Is that a wrestling reference that I'm just not getting? Anyway, the quote is Simon the only one who doesn't look like a nerd on WCW? Well, I mean, no, you've got Hollywood Hulk Hogan, you've got Sting, you've got Bill Goldberg. Oh, wait, no, you're talking about WhatCulture Wrestling. It's a joke. Yeah, of course. Of course Simon is the only one that doesn't look like a nerd. He works out every day and he's an actual bona fide wrestler now. And good on him for doing so. But why is nerd a bad thing? Like, I'm happy to be a wrestling nerd. I'm happy to be a gaming nerd. I'm happy to be a nerd in general. And you guys are nerds too. You're wrestling nerds. You follow us, we follow you. It's good to see people have passion. It is not a bad thing. In fact, when I went to a recent WWE Live event here in Newcastle, it was amazing to see so many people who were fans of the show, also fans of WhatCulture, but just fans of wrestling all coming together and being passionate about it. So yeah, if we'd all look like nerds, that's good, isn't it? Better than being fake. Anyway, as always, a massive thank you to Phil Chambers and Michael Sidgwick for their continued work on this show. And to you at home, you lovely people, thank you so much for watching. You always give me a hashtag having a giraffe moment. Thank you so much. As always, I've been Jules. You've definitely been awesome. It's good to be back. And I'll speak to you soon. See ya.